Hi everyone, I am Aloha Jan May Esbatao. Today, I will be talking about how to make a literary analysis paper. So, what is a literary analysis paper? Literary analysis means closely studying a text, interpreting its meaning, and exploring why the author made certain choices. It is also a type of argumentative essay where you need to analyze elements such as language, perspective, and structure of the text and explain how the author uses literary devices to create, effect, and convey ideas. So, as we write an literary analysis paper, we must follow the standard structure of an academic essay. First, an introduction that tells the reader what your essay will focus on. Second, a main body divided into paragraphs that builds an argument using evidence from the text. And third, a conclusion that clearly states the main point that you have shown in your analysis. So, there are 5 steps in creating a literary analysis paper. First is reading the text and identifying literary devices. Step 2, coming up with a thesis. Step 3, writing a title and introduction. Step 4, writing the body of the essay. And last, step 5, writing a conclusion. So, step 1, reading the text and identifying literary devices. The first step is to carefully read the text and take initial notes. As you read, pay attention to the things that are most intriguing, surprising, or even confusing in the writing. These are the things you can dig into your analysis. Also, primarily you're looking out for literary devices, textual elements that writers use to convey meaning and create effects. To get started with your analysis, there are several key areas that you can focus on. So first is language choices. Consider what style of language the author uses. Also, keep an eye out of imagery in the text, recurring images that create a certain atmosphere or symbolizes something important. Remember that language is used in literary text to say more than it means on the surface. Second is the narrative voice. Consider narrator's perspective. Are they unreliable who are not supposed to take a face value? Authors often hint that their narrator might be giving us a distorted or dishonest version of events. The tone of the text is also worth considering. Is the story intended to be comic, tragic, or something else? Third is structure. Consider how the text is structured and how the structure relates to the story being told. Think about why the author chose to divide the different parts of the text in the way they did. There are also less formal structural elements to take into account. With poetry, consider how the rhyme and the meter shape your understanding of the text and your impression to the tone. In a play, you might consider how relationships between characters are built up through different scenes and how the settings relates to the action. Step 2, coming up with a thesis. Your thesis is a literary analysis or your point that you want to make about the text. It is the core argument that gives your essay a direction and prevent it from being a collection of a random observation about the text. It is consider what stood out you in the text, ask yourself questions about the elements that interested you, and consider how you might answer them. Thesis should be something arguable, that is something you think is true about the text, but which is not simple matter of fact. It must be complex enough to develop through evidence and arguments across the course of your essay. So there are several areas you can focus on. First is finding textual evidence. To support your thesis statement, your essay will build an argument using textual evidence or specific parts of the text that demonstrate your point. It can be useful to comb through the text in search of relevant quotation before you start writing. Step 3. Writing a title and introduction. To start your literary analysis paper, you'll need two things: a good title and an introduction. Your title should clearly indicate what your analysis will focus on. It usually contains the name of the author and text you're analyzing. Keep it concise and engaging as possible. The introduction. The essay introduction provides a quick overview of where your argument is going. It should include your thesis statement and a summary of the essay structure. If you do write the introduction, first you should still return to later to make sure it lines up with what you ended up writing and edit as necessary. Step 4. Writing the body of the essay. The body of your essay is everything between the introduction and conclusion. It contains your argument and the textual evidence that supports them. First is the paragraph structure. It is a typical structure for a high school literary analysis essay consists of 5 paragraphs. The 3 paragraphs of the body plus the introduction and conclusion. Each paragraph in the main body should focus on one topic. In the 5-paragraph model, try to divide your argument into 3 main areas of analysis. All link all your thesis. Second, topic sentences. To keep your points focused, it is important to use a topic sentence at the beginning of each paragraph. A good topic sentence allows a reader to see at a glance what the paragraph is about. It can introduce a new line of argument and connect or contrast it with a previous paragraph. And last is using a textual evidence. A key part of literary analysis is backing up your arguments with relevant evidence from the text. This involves introducing quotes from the text and explaining their significance to your point. It's important to contextualize quotes and explain why you're using them. They should be properly introduced and analyzed, not treated as self-explanatory. So, the last step, step 5, writing a conclusion. The conclusion of your analysis shouldn't introduce any new quotation or argument. Instead, it's about wrapping up the essay. Here you are summarizing your key points and try to emphasize their significance to the reader. A good way to approach this is to briefly summarize your key arguments and then stress the conclusion they've lead you to, highlighting the new perspective of your thesis that provides on the text as a whole. So, that concludes my video presentation. Thank you and God bless always.